Her father was the one who finally said yes, not because he was fully sure, but because his daughter, Nnenna, had been begging for months, eyes lit up, shoulders high with hope, and that same fire in her voice she had since she was 5, and first said she wanted to be a doctor. She had done her part, aced her exams, topped her class, even got into the prestigious Royal Grace Academy, an elite all-girls boarding school tucked somewhere past Ibadan, where the gates alone looked like they cost more than the family car. Nnenna's mum, Adeobi, had her doubts from the start. She didn't say much, but the way she folded Nnenna's clothes into the suitcase like she was packing something sacred said it all. She prayed over each dress, tucked a tiny Bible under her pillow, and told her daughter softly, "No matter what, always speak your truth." The drive to the school was loud. Her father played old high life songs, and her little brother kept asking if the school had Wi-Fi. Nnenna smiled a lot, but deep down she was nervous. Excited, yes, but that fear of the unknown hovered behind her confidence. Still, she told herself, this is where smart girls go. This is where I belong. Royal Grace was grand, beyond grand. It looked like something out of a brochure, marble floors, polished dormitories and staff in neat uniforms. By the 3rd day, Nnenna had already learned who not to bump into in the hallway. There was Queenie, a final year student everyone called HR, short for Head Ruthless. She didn't bully in the typical way. She didn't need to. One look from her and juniors shifted, straightened, or disappeared. It started small, a stare, a smile that didn't quite reach the eyes. Then came the nickname, Oxygen, because Nnenna was everywhere, Queenie said. Just floating, existing, taking up space. Everyone laughed. Nnenna did too, even though it stung. She told herself it was just part of fitting in. By the end of the first week, Nnenna stopped eating dinner in the dining hall. Too many whispers, too many glances. She started skipping prep once in a while too, choosing instead to sit behind the chapel and cry silently. But when her mum called during weekend check-ins, she put on her brightest voice and said, "I'm doing great, Mum. So much learning, so many new friends." She didn't want to disappoint her. Then came her first invite. One of the seniors passed her a note during class. Midnight, laundry room, don't be late. There was no signature, but everyone knew what it meant. Nnenna sat up in her bunk that night, heart pounding. She had heard of the laundry rites, what they did to freshers who thought they were too quiet, too smart, or too bookish for their own good. When she stepped into the dim laundry room, 5 girls were already there. They smiled, but it felt like a trap. They made her sing her school anthem backwards, made her crawl on the floor and confess her crushes. One poured cold water on her head, for humility. They weren't beating her, not exactly, but it felt like her spirit was being bruised. And the worst part? They called it love. They said it was how they welcomed people into the family. After that night, something in Nnenna changed. She started smiling less, talking less. Her grades stayed high, she couldn't afford to slip, but her joy started dimming. She didn't tell anyone, not even her roommate Ifeoma, who always slept like a rock and never seemed to notice Nnenna's 2 a.m. sobs. One evening, after prep, Queenie handed Nnenna a soda. "For you," she said sweetly, "to cool your head." Nnenna hesitated, then took it. It tasted funny. Not bad, just off. She drank half before the headache started. The room swayed. Her thoughts grew fuzzy, and through the haze, she saw Queenie grinning. "You're too tense," Queenie said, brushing a braid off Nnenna's shoulder. "We're all sisters here. You can let go." The next few days were a blur. She couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. She felt disconnected from her body, her thoughts, like she was living underwater. When the school counsellor asked her why she hadn't submitted her chemistry project, Nnenna just blinked. Words wouldn't come. Her mum knew something was wrong when Nnenna came home for visiting day. She wasn't the same girl she had left at that gate 3 months ago. She barely spoke, barely ate. And when Adaobi hugged her, Nnenna flinched like she'd forgotten what safe arms felt like. Adaobi didn't shout, didn't push. She just held her daughter and whispered, "Whatever it is, you're not alone." That night, Adaobi told her husband, "She's hurting, and she's hiding it. We have to do something." Cheek, her father, didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "Let's go see the principal. Tomorrow." The meeting was tense. The school tried to downplay it. "We maintain discipline. We monitor all senior-junior interactions. There are house mothers on every floor. But Adaobi didn't back down. "I don't need polished reports," she said. "I need my daughter back." Eventually, they arranged for Nnenna to speak with a different counsellor, someone outside the school. It took weeks, but slowly she started to talk. And when she finally cried, really cried, it was like watching a dam break. Nnenna didn't go back to Royal Grace. Her parents transferred her to a smaller day school closer to home. The academics were still tough, the uniform was less shiny, but the difference, she came home every night. She still has days when the memories creep in, when she second guesses herself, but she's healing, day by day. And her mother, she started visiting other parents, talking at churches, schools, women's groups, not to scare them, but to prepare them. Boarding school is not evil, she tells them, but silence is, and assumption, and the belief that being strict means being strong. If your daughter is heading to boarding school, do more than pack her suitcase, pack her confidence, her voice, her knowledge that she can say no and that she'll be heard when she does. Let her know what's right and what's not, because peer pressure doesn't always shout. Sometimes it smiles, sometimes it passes you a drink, or a nickname, or a dare. Ask your daughter the real questions, not just how's school, but who are you when I'm not there? What scares you? Do you feel safe? And most importantly, listen. Because silence, not rebellion, is often the first sign of something going wrong. Before you send your daughter to boarding school, watch her, hear her, know her, so that when the world tries to confuse her, she remembers who she is and who's still standing behind her.